All right, we finally did it. This was the big weekend. We did our pilot ride to the Texas Renaissance Festival. I was super nervous and equally excited to get this project done. I'd been just playing around with the idea, kind of putting my feelers out to see who would be into it. And while a lot of you did say, oh, what a cool idea, I didn't get a lot of people really committing to actually participating in the ride. Penelope, she was down to clown from day one. I put the idea past my neighbor, Dan Phelps, who is a much more experienced, much more passionate writer than I am. And the cool thing about Dan is that this guy, he gets really nerdy with his exploration. He kind of sits around looking at maps and looking for new bike paths and different areas to explore throughout Houston. Definitely a cool guy to know. It's really great to have him as a friend and as a neighbor. He has these really great rides on the weekends where sometimes we'll do long rides, speed rides. Other times we'll just do some introductory rides for the neighbors to see who might want to get into this cycling thing. And he's just a great person to know, a very friendly, wholesome guy, and I'm very thankful for him for helping organize and actually plan a safe route from the cop shop, also known as Harris County Precinct 5, I believe, which is located at the end of Barker Reservoir, that little bike path there. And so yeah, that's where we were originally supposed to meet everybody. But what ended up happening was, since we didn't really get any RSVPs outside of the four of us, we just figured we could take off from our little neighborhood. And we did pass by the cop shop to make sure that, there wasn't anybody that, just didn't RSVP but decided to surprise us. But, there was no one, but that's totally fine because, again, we wanted to treat this as a bit of a pilot ride. Kenny had mentioned that, there's a lot of two-way roads going, especially north up there, and that is very true. And while, it might be a bit nerve-wracking to some, really, there was not a lot of congestion at all, but most of the drivers on the road were, really friendly. I think there was one part where I started to, as we started hitting more of the inclines, I started falling back a little bit and trying to keep up, and then so there was this gap between myself and Maureen and Dan and Penelope, Nelly. So that gap did cause a little bit of an issue for a moment. And there was this one super swell guy who decided to roll coal on us. And you would think he should know better. Or she. Could have been a she. Could have been a they. I don't know who was in that pick-em-up truck, except, decided to roll coal on all of us, which is the pettiest thing, man. Like, what is wrong with you? So yeah, that was one incident, but for the most part, man, it was just a spectacular ride. First half was a little sterile because there's a lot of new land, kind of being developed, and neighborhood planning and things like that. So there's a little construction and not a lot of trees for that first half. But that second half, and especially when you start, I wouldn't call them hills, but you start getting these inclines, the gradients start changing, and you do get some hills. We went through some spectacular backcountry, beautiful places, lots of beautiful trees, ranches. It was really nice. At the halfway point, Dan chose a really good halfway point. We fueled up, and once we got past that is where things started becoming a bit more scenic. But about 10 miles out from the actual Renaissance Festival, and mind you, we took off from our neighborhood, so I want to say it was at least 56, 57 miles from start to finish, at least in my case. But when we finally got to the Renaissance Fair is where we actually hit Renaissance Fair traffic. And we had a decision to make because, we were treating ourselves just like any other car on the road. Do we stand in line, or do we barrel ahead past these cars? And since Dan and Maureen decided that they weren't going to be doing the whole camping thing and the Renaissance Fair thing maybe next year, they just wanted to enjoy the ride. They just decided to cut back at that point. And me and Nelly decided to be bad, and we went ahead past the cars in line. And I'm glad that we did, because that line was really just for the actual festival. There was a separate place to turn for the campgoers, which applied to us. So we were able to just get right on in there, start checking out the campgrounds. 55 miles in, you're out of breath. All you want to do is shower, just, take a load off. But my camping gear wasn't there yet. my wifey was running behind with all of our stuff. And so we just took the time to kind of find our wits about us and, just take in the campsite, hopefully grab a bite. And we did all that, and we just kind of rolled around the campsite. We actually bumped into Nidra and some other cycling buddies. And unfortunately, we didn't see them for the rest of the weekend. But they did say, I believe they said they were in Section 9 or something to that effect. I went looking for them to see if maybe we could camp with them, except all that area with, I want to say Section 9. It was pretty much 100% occupancy. So I ended up in the family camping area, which was nice because it wasn't a far hike to the actual shenanigans that take place on the campgrounds. And let me tell you, man, Renaissance, the real Renaissance fair happens on the campgrounds, yo. Just a non-stop party. So many friendly people. Met a guy, Fat Thor, kicked it with him a little bit at the fireplace. The fireplace was a great place to just chat it up with strangers. And outside of the fireplace is where they had more shenanigans at the Call of Booty. You heard that right, Call of Booty. I want to say stage. And that's where they have like stripping contest, strip Jenga, just people getting naked. Not exactly supermodels, I'm told, but I did catch a glimpse at one little lady. And I was like, yeah, I don't need to be seeing this. So, and Ronnie and Nelly, they're like, this is stupid. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. I'm just being a big degenerate here. So we eventually broke off from that. And that was actually a long time between the campfire and then the strip Jenga Call of Booty people. That was a big significant block of time. We went and checked out this live band at one point. So, and after that, that's where things started really starting to get like a little bit sideways. It was like a tent crawl, just exploring the campsite. Basically, these people convert these campsites into like almost like clubs, right? Like I saw a foam party, bubble party, lots of cool music, fire dancers everywhere. There was tents where they have like these roll the dice games, and you're gonna end up drinking at that tent. You may also face a consequence if you roll the dice the wrong way. I won't tell you what happened there, but silliness. Just foolishness. Yeah, we got good and pissy and ended up asleep at like 2 a.m. And I felt perfectly comfortable going to sleep in the tent, but some 2 hours later, I woke up with my teeth chattering. I was freezing. And it was only like 40 degrees, but I said F this, and I got up and I got into my car and I just fired up the air conditioning and I just warmed up while I could. And woke up the next morning, beautiful morning. Hung out with Dean, one of our neighbor campers. She was this lady, had a little girl with her, and she was up for her mom, and she was just kind of staring at me through her tent. And so I just pulled out my guitar and I started softly playing a little acoustic, and just so she had a little something to be entertained by. She seemed a bit bored. Then Dean got up, we were chatting it up, and eventually headed out to the Renaissance Fair, and we saw all that cool Renaissance Fair stuff. So, and there's so much to be said about the Renaissance Fair experience. Like, I'm kind of glossing over it because I've done it so many times. This is only my second time actually camping at the Ren Fair, and this is actually my first time camping without actually having like a criteria. The first time I went was for a wedding, and I was kicking it with those folks, and that was really cool then. But it wasn't like this whole, I wasn't exploring the place, This time I got to actually explore. But yeah, so I don't want to gloss over the Renaissance Festival. It's an amazing experience. If you ever are curious, I would definitely encourage you to check it out because there's something for everybody there. And yes, it is a lot of nerds, people just playing dress up, but it's the biggest in the world. The Texas Renaissance Festival is the biggest one in the world. And I know a lot of you already know that, but like it's not just the biggest in the world, it's incredibly well done. It's like a theme park or something that's only open a few months out of the year. We're definitely blessed to have it, and you should absolutely check it out. Whether you're into comedy or swordplay or pirates, barbarians. It was a barbarian weekend when we went, so we saw barbarians. There was this one girl who had like, her whole getup was made of the actual bones of all these different animals, and she like had bones along her pigtails. It was so cool, man. And that was just one person. Like, you see people like that all over the place, that really take it seriously to almost a weird degree. But yeah, it's a beautiful spot, and I really just enjoy people watching. So, between the campgrounds and the actual festival, I mean, that kind of thing's right up my alley. I would say this pilot run was a success. Again, thank you to Dan Phelps, Maureen, Penelope for participating in this with me and soldiering through it. It was definitely not an easy ride, but it was a beautiful ride, perfect weather, and pretty much smooth sailing, aside from a couple little hiccups. Mad props to Maureen for requesting Adele on the soundtrack. Definitely not my typical taste of music, not my cup of tea, but it was fun. And yeah, just, you know, F the world, man. It was dope. I encourage you guys to come out and join me next year. I promise to plan it a lot better and not give such short notice, and open it up to more than just, you know, the 100 core friends that I'd invited. So yeah, I hope you will join me next year. I promise you it'll be a fun, awesome experience, and much better organized. All right, y'all. Peace.
They have coffee at the King's Bar. I'm telling you, dude. Dude, I'm telling you, bro. They can have coffee at the King's Bar.
We have 3 sauces of pickles, large, medium, and Caucasian.
Greece, I know there's Tuscany, there's England, there's France, there's Germany, Poland area.
Is that a turkey leg or an ice cream? Oh! How many balls you got?
Whatever.
This is gonna be a difficult one, though.
That's amazing.
Amazing.
I can do this one.
Yeah.
This is insane. I don't know if I can do it. It's stuck on. There are stairs. Let's grab a comfortable stone seat. Closer.
Cool. I see. Yeah, right. Entrance is that away. Yeah, we're going towards the entrance. Hey, fire dancers. Do you just behave, Dean? Don't you do it, you motherfucker.
But the wife's a cheating whore.
Stop it.
Look at him, I feel so bad for him.
Stop it, stop it, stop it. Jesus Christ. It's beautiful, man.
Is this real?
Yes, it's real.
Really? People are that weird?
Stop it, Dean. Oh my God, Dean, you're the... Pirate Museum's enseguida, but
funnel cake, sandwiches.
Cheese sticks?
I doubt we'll have time for all that. Sorry.
Exactly.
Bison.
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 Bison.